Hello and welcome to the Outcast. I'm your host HC, and with me is.
Wolf.
And today, if you're looking for fun and a bit of EBGBs, we're back with Cuphead, the Cuphead Show Season 2. We already did Season 1 a bit after it was released, and now Season 2 is out, coming back for it because Cuphead is great. The game can kick your ass and make you scream, but having now actually played it, it's a good game.
It is okay.
No, it's more. I'd say it's more than okay,
No,
but
it's definitely gameplay
uh,
can, like, again, if you're a fan of platformers, hard platformers, old style hard platformers, you'll love it. But as far as like animation wise and like the creation behind it, that in and of itself is very interesting and very amazing.
considering I'm more of a platforming guy, then maybe like it touches me a bit more.
Which
But
is absolutely fair.
yeah, but the thing is, it's a hard game.
Sorry.
But it's satisfying. Then I
Yeah.
prefer. I like it that I can throw the controller out of the window, but it's satisfying once I get that knockout.
Understandable.
Yeah. That said, I haven't been in the game itself, but I somehow beat the DLC. Don't ask me how I did it. I don't know. But anyway, we're not really talking about the game. We are here to talk about the second season of the show. Wolf, refresh my memory. What did you think of season one?
Oh Lord, refresh my memory. I think
Uh,
I said it was very enjoyable. It definitely harkened back to old style cartoons. Touches my old man heart. I was definitely not alive for these style of cartoons back in the day, but yeah, I liked the older style mixed with the new, right?
mhm.
And
Like it
again,
definitely kept true to what the game was trying to what the game was trying to achieve with
mhm,
its art style.
yeah, like it absolutely, like, there's it's hard to tell a difference in my opinion, really. And
Mhm.
you
Like
know,
you can tell, but it's like you need a really neat eye for it.
yeah, yeah. But even then, like, again, as you said, it stays true to that art style, and it does well in achieving that feeling of those old style cartoons that you would get way back in the day, and while mixing it with, you know, I guess I would say like current style of cartoons in terms of writing and like
Because I
modern
like
improvements and such.
because this is obviously digitally animated. You can
Mhm.
tell that it's not hand drawn, but again,
The game, I believe, is hand drawn.
yeah, the game is hand drawn, and holy hell. But the thing is that even if it's not hand drawn, it looks good enough. Like it works.
Yeah.
Like they work with the digital well enough to make it look exceptional. And yeah, and so for my money, the season one was really great. I remember we talked about how people were kind of like, oh, there's like no lore, no explanation, no like that. There's no focus on plot and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, that's kind of how cartoons were back in the day. And
Hmm.
also, it's just nice to watch something that, cliffhanger aside, can just stand on its own. I don't need to worry about plot threads or how this is gonna turn out or how this is gonna turn out. I can just turn it on and enjoy a funny cartoon. They can also exist.
Agreed. Yeah, like it very much harkens back to something that most of our audience might be more familiar with, Tom and Jerry or like Looney Tunes. But even older
I'd
cartoons than that
say,
were like very much
yeah.
more akin to this because Looney Tunes, there's some through lines there. There's a little bit of a through line here, I think, as well. What with the devil after Cuphead Soul, but at the end of the day, right, it's very much, it harkens back to old style cartoons where it was very much episodic and it was just shenanigans of the day. Slapstick comedy of the day. That's what you get, and then that's it. You move on to the next episode.
Yeah, and like it's definitely not a bad thing.
No.
I know that if people are like, oh, because there are animated shows that do like the overarching stuff, and by all means, it's not. I'm not saying that those shouldn't exist. I love a lot of those shows. Like you have Avatar: The Last Airbender. You have you have stuff. I haven't seen it, but like you have stuff like Infinity Train. You have the Owl
Oof.
House and all that stuff. Yeah.
We don't have that anymore. What are
Yeah,
you talking about? It doesn't exist.
it exists, and if someone says it doesn't, they are idiots. Yes,
Well,
I'm aware of that controversy. Let's
Warner
not
Brothers
bring this up
Discovery
now.
says it doesn't exist anymore.
Well, they can discover that I don't care.
But yeah, I get what you
For
mean. Like those shows
I
generally
haven't
tend to
seen that
feel
show, but yeah.
those shows generally tend to feel a lot heavier, right? And you need to be more focused on them and be paying more attention. Cuphead harkens back to those shows that where you can have this on in the background, and if you miss it, if you miss parts of the episode, it doesn't matter. You still understand it, right? You still know what's going on, and you can still get some enjoyment from it. I liken it to just sometimes you just want to sit down and just have a small snack that feels complete, and that's what this is.
Yeah, like
More food analogies here at the Outcast.
yeah. Well, honestly, it's Cuphead. Like the entire thing is food analogies.
Fair.
But yeah, I can, sometimes all you like if I go back from work and I don't want to turn on 22 minutes that it will either lead up to or are gonna lead up to something. Sometimes I just want 11 minutes of fun.
Mm-hmm.
These can definitely exist. For that, the Cuphead Show season 1 was great. Now, when it comes to season 2, I think it's still great, but I think season 1 was tighter.
I agree. There were a couple episodes in this one. More like there might have been 1 or 2 episodes in the first season that I felt like I was kind of, that was okay, but the rest of the season held up better than that episode did. But season 2, like there was a point within the season where we just hit a couple of episodes in a row that were just kind of, this is very meh. It's not bad. It just feels meh compared to where we started at and then where we end at. In my opinion.
Like for the record, I could remember episodes of season 1 like a whole week after seeing them. These few episodes, like I've seen them less than a week before recording this, and now opening up an episode list. I'm like, oh, hey, this episode did happen. I completely forgot, and some of them I just said yesterday. So it's like not bad by any means. It's still fun. You'll still have a great time. But I think the best tip I can say, the best way to go into this is, don't binge it. Enjoy it in small doses.
I think I need more time with it as someone who is someone who also binged it very recently for this recording. I think I need more time with it to just kind of sit and ruminate, if you will, because I'm not sure if I agree with that statement or disagree.
Because I
think I would agree, just because I feel like after so many episodes, I think I did start to suffer a bit of fatigue, and maybe that's why there's a portion of the season that just felt kind of meh after a point. And then it got better later towards the end. Maybe that's because I binged it, but I don't know for certain yet.
And there's this thing that, this season is also longer in the sense that, season 1 had 12 episodes. This season has 13. Mm-hmm. But then there's also the fact that, one episode, just the one, is longer. It's 22 minutes instead of the 11. Mm-hmm. And like again, it's not to say that it's a lot of time or something. It's not, it's not Stranger Things where suddenly season 4 is a 2.5 hour thing.
Multiple
right?
2.5 hour movies.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm also, but what I am saying is that it is a longer season, and one could even argue that like the last few episodes of season 1 could also, like, when you're close to the ending, it's kind of starting to, like, after after the sweater, the second sweater episode, that it kind of just starts dragging until the Miss Chalice one. Suddenly, there are a lot of episodes in the middle of it where I'm like, yeah, I could skip this. Yeah, this is not like, and ironically enough, the episode before the season finale is actually I think goes to be my least favorite episode in the entire show. That's you have anything to add on the matter?
Before we get into major spoilers, not really, other than, again, like, overall decent season. I think I agree with you. I did enjoy season 1 more, but I still think, like, this is a worthwhile season to watch. I'm debating, like, I'm still in that mindset of, I'm debating on whether or not to recommend you binge this or, watch it over time instead of binging it. I think as of right now, I would agree with you. Don't binge this. I think it'll hurt, the show if you binge it. Like, this is one of those few shows that it's really, you're better off not binging it. But I'm that's debatable. I might come back later and say, yeah, no, you should have binged this. Who knows?
I guess when we get to season 3. But here's the thing regarding final
no. I'll come back on and, like, make a whole entire new episode about Cuphead season 2.
Sure, that's your time sink. I'll be away. But anyway, just to really close this up, not a bad season at all. Lots of I was laughing a lot of the time. I just think that season 1 was a bit tighter in terms of pacing and characterization. Mm-hmm. So if you liked season 1, you'll enjoy season 2. But if you didn't like season 1, season 2 isn't gonna make you a fan. But it's a decent continuation. Again, just go in, have fun with this, but also take breaks. Now, so spoilers for the Cuphead Show season 2 in 3, 2, 1. Still here? Good. Chalice is dead.
Literally, okay, she is a ghost.
Yeah.
It's big theory that we might get to see the Cuphead powers and everything. No.
That is a thing actually from the game. She is a ghost in the game.
Oh, she is. Okay.
There's now the DLC. I'm not sure if they couldn't show it because the DLC wasn't out by the time the first season came out. But like in the game, at least in the main game, she's like a kind of like the legendary chalice that gives you some upgrades and stuff once you complete certain challenges. So she's fulfilling a role in that. But in the DLC, we find out that actually her soul is trapped by this chef called the Chef Saltbaker. And like there's this thing that like if either Cuphead or Mugman eat a cookie, then their soul is like replaced with her, and she comes back to life, and they are trapped as ghosts. So that's a whole other. So that's something they might be building up. Might. But anyway, we're not talking about this now because we're talking about episode 1, which continues from where season 1 left off, where Chalice
a little cliffhanger where she abandoned them, and we see Cuphead and Mugman in prison. The Slammer.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we see them in Jailbroken, episode 1 of season 2. I want to point out that Wikipedia has it listed as part 2, and then the next episode is part 3, even though it doesn't continue from anything. It could be its own episode. Yeah. I don't know why the switch, but all right. So we have Jailbroken. So Cuphead and Mugman are in jail. Mugman kind of settles in. He's kind of like, whatever. We just gotta go through with this. But Cuphead tries to escape, and maybe it's the fact that I like jailbreak episodes and movies and stuff, but I really enjoyed the Cuphead's attempts and failures.
It's all failures.
Yeah,
They never
but
win.
it also, yeah, and they fell so much to the point that even Mugman has to convince them to keep trying. Like that's rough.
But no, yeah, like I agree with you. It's a quite fun episode to start off on. I think it's a strong first episode, and I like everything they do with it. Like I can't really find
Yeah.
anything to complain with this one. Like this one is really
A
strong.
little, a little animation note that I want to point out that I love how even their straws have like the
Mm,
white and black gel bars for whatever reason. It's like the gel knows that one day they'll need to have this kind of attire to people with who has straws because they exist in this world.
mm-hmm.
Fair enough. But yeah, I enjoy this. I enjoy this. This big lady who Mugman, washes her, her little blanket, and she repays them by letting them by holding the gut so that they could escape. And like just in general, it's a really fun episode. And yeah, and it also settles the plot of the cliffhanger. So if you were angry by that sudden turn of events, as you should have been, because what the hell was that cliffhanger? And yes, we'll get to that other one. And it was a good way to open.
Yeah, I agree.
And anything else, or is it episode
No,
two?
like there's not much I can say about this one. This one was fine. Overall, a good first episode for the season. Starts off strong.
Yep. Start strong, and then we go to Charmed and Dangerous. So with this one, I enjoy when Chalice literally shows up at the door and it's like, "Hey boys!" And the first thing Mugman does, he doesn't blink, he doesn't think, he doesn't react, just bam in her face.
Yep, that was great. Literally just talking
And
about her saying she's never going to show back up, and then she shows back up, slams door in her face.
again, I'm not sure if I said it about season one, but season two definitely. A lot of those episodes need to be gifted and memed because, less, I would use that gif of him just slamming the door in her face. I would use that so much, given the right circumstances, mind you. But still. Anyway, so we have this. I enjoy, so I enjoyed the first part where it's like, Chalice actually feels regret about the boys going to jail. She didn't intend that. She just thought they'll get into a bit of trouble, but once she hears they were actually in jail, she feels sad about it. She feels remorse. She feels sorry. Doesn't think they've changed the fact that she's still a liar and there is an angry mob coming after her, but I appreciated honesty, I guess.
Fair.
And this is where they're really, and this is the point where I'm saying, you see what I mean with this season not really cinema, because I remember this. I forgot about the whole thing with the angry mob, except for Mugman trying to negotiate with them.
I remember,
The,
well, though I remembered all of this one, but again, I binged it more recently than you did. But one thing I do very much remember is, again, they came back with the same joke of slamming the door in the angry mob's face. Which is so good. And
yeah.
I also enjoyed the, Elder Kettle's over there sleeping, and they just like, hey, angry mob, shh. And everybody's like, oh, sorry. And they all just kind of sneakily
Yeah.
go back outside and fix the door. I
Mhm.
enjoyed that joke a lot.
Yeah. No, like Elder Cattle does have a lot of good jokes in this season. I'd say I know you relate to him because you're an old man, but he's fun. Yeah,
True.
but it's at the end of this episode where we find out that Chalice is actually a ghost, and what are they gonna do with this? I am not sure because I know the creators of the game are heavily involved in the show, but I don't think they're gonna do the DLC plot. At least I don't think so.
Hmm.
I'd say it's nice to see there, if you now that the DLC is out, people have played it, people have experienced it, then that it's a nice now that like, oh, okay, we're actually doing it. There's some familiarity here. And and with this, I think it's time to move on to episode three, a high seas adventure. The first double length episode of the show,
Hmm.
and I think it's like if they had to make one episode double length, might as well be this one because I
Yeah,
felt like
this one I think was I like this one more than I did episode 2. There was a few good jokes in episode 2, but I think this one was overall more consistently funny and more enjoyable.
And also, we have two characters from the game in it: the pirate and that Hydra creature, whatever her name is.
The sea monster.
But yeah, the sea monster. I must say, I'm surprised that they took until season two because if you notice at the opening, she shows up at the very start of the opening, or the opening sequence. She's
Hmm.
there, but they never actually used her as a character until now. And I'm surprised because I know she's one of the more popular bosses.
Oh, we finally got her in. And I love the voice
Yeah,
they gave her. I love the kind of character they gave her. I love that we get a little
yeah.
bit of like song singing in this episode, which is interesting. Something we've not
Like
gotten.
something I really like. The vibes I got from she kind of gave me Ursula vibes from The Little
Mm.
Mermaid, and not as a bad thing at all.
No, that's
Just
fair.
but like the way she moves, the way she animates, the way even the song itself, like there's a lot of Ursula vibes to it, and it works. It works really well for this character. I I enjoy what they did with her. I also kind of enjoyed the pirate just being because honestly, when I look back at the game's bosses, the pirate is just kind of like there. Not necessarily if you like that boss, if you don't like that boss, that doesn't matter.
I well, yeah, but
It's more, it's more that because he's just like standing there on his ship. He's not intimidating. He's not leaving any impression design wise.
no, I
So it's
really
like yeah.
enjoy how
So
they took that character and made it into something way more than what it was, because he's in love with the sea beast creature, right? He's in love with
yeah.
like the mermaid Medusa combination lady, and
Mhm.
it's very enjoyable because like he wants her to notice him, and she's like, yeah, no, I don't care. I like my career more, but I do like you a little bit. You catch my eye, and you've impressed me just a little bit by the end of the show, and I love like the Mugman and the pirate dude getting like Briny Beard is his name. Like I love
Yeah,
the back
Bradley
and
Beal.
forth between them, and the fact that it's like they drop his stone statue and break off his legs and put on peg legs, and he's like, oh great, I have two peg legs now. Like again, like there's a
Yeah.
lot of good humor in this, and I'm not explaining it very well, but go watch it, you'll enjoy it more.
Well, if they are in the spoiler section, then I'd assume they've already watched it because otherwise, what the hell are you doing here? Unless you don't care. So,
Well, no,
but
like I
yeah.
yeah, this was, in my opinion, one of the stronger episodes of this season. Like very enjoyable, very fun, and I love what they did with the characters and how they combined the two of them.
Yeah, man, and just goes to show that like not necessarily people behind the game or not, but people who like really saw a concept with these two characters and like and I just have shows that where you can tell the writers were just like, okay, we have the source material, let's have fun,
Yeah,
let's go all out, let's and the sea monster gets a musical number, yeah, she does, why not? Let's do this. Netflix didn't cut out the animation budget yet. Might as well use it. So definitely a fun episode. I'd say a highlight from the for the show for the season. Not my favorite, but we'll get there in a bit.
Fair enough.
Now we moving on to episode four, another brother.
This one was fine.
Uh,
I like some stuff from this one, but it's this is where I think another problem from this season comes up, where this season is very much focused on like Mugman and Cuphead having issues of like just issues with one another. Most of it boils down to like meshing their personalities don't mesh very well, right? Because Cuphead's more
yeah,
reckless and doesn't really care about a lot of things, and he's very much I'm not worried about anything, and Mugman does worry
yeah,
about things, and You'll see
Yeah,
this
that
kind of
one
antagonistic thing
it
between the
was
two of them come up a lot during the season. The first episode of the season has a little bit of it, and here we are with it again. And you'll see it at least 2 or 3 more times.
and that's something that not necessarily that I think the show should change direction or something, but I feel that being a reoccurring theme would have worked better if it was an overarching show and not a show that status quo is God, everything goes back to normal by the end.
I think it's fine here. You just need to come up with a new problem for them to have with one another.
No, it's like here it works because again, it's the conflict is in the title. They want a new brother, and shows have done this. This is nothing new. This I guess we could say it's it's kind of like a checklist that you have a show about brothers. There will be an episode where they try to get another brother. Fair enough. I don't mind that. The thing is that it seems that every episode kind of has this, if not in the forefront, then in the background, that Cuphead and Mugman don't get along. And I get it. Siblings, they have contrasting personalities. It's bound to happen. I am not saying that it's a thing they shouldn't do at all. But if it's going to be like the main thing with them in this season, if it's going to be a theme for a lot of episodes, then I don't think it necessarily works for a style of show like this, because at some point it just gets repetitive.
I'm fine with it. Again, I agree it got repetitive, but I think it got repetitive in so much as it felt like it was the same issue. You just tried to kind of hide it by giving it a new look, but it was still the exact same issue again in terms of what we've seen before. And again, like it's the focus of at least, I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'm going to say about 5 episodes. It's the focus of, and it's like it's more in the main focus of it, right? And it takes away after a certain point. And some of the episodes with this focus are fine, like episode 1. Some of them, like,
and I'd even say that the previous episode is also very much leaning on it, because Cuphead is the one that drags them into this. And
it
by
leans
the
on
end,
it less.
Yeah, but it kind of has this thing
But
that,
it is
if it
there,
weren't for
I agree with
Cuphead,
you. Yeah.
that, Cuphead kind of pushed for that adventure while Mugman was reckless about it. But it also worked because by the end, the roles kind of switched, and Mugman's, conscience drove them to keep going with it, while Cuphead was just like, okay, enough adventure, we can go home. So it worked there, and again, it's kind of fun in this episode, but it does become like this thing where it's like a main theme for this season, and like at some point, again, with a show like this, how many times can you have the same bone structure to each episode?
Yeah, that's fair. But speaking of episode 4, what did you think about our new character, Bowl Boy?
As soon as I saw him, only one word came to mind. No.
Fair enough.
Like,
I think he's fine. Like, if he becomes a character that comes back up, I enjoy him enough.
No, for the record, I enjoy the character.
No, that's fair.
Not saying, but because I think no is the reaction they want to get out of you. Yep. You are not supposed to like Ball Boy. You are not supposed to see this as like, Cuphead needs him and not Mugman. Not at all. Actually, it was the opposite. It's Mugman who befriends him.
No, it's Cuphead who befriends Bulb Boy.
It's Cuphead. Okay.
Mugman befriends Bulb Boy.
Yeah,
or Bulb Man. I don't know.
But
Mugman takes a back seat.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, I think it's good that he's taking a back seat because it's good that we kind of cut to him every so often to kind of see what's up, and then we're back to what Cuphead and Ball Boy, are up to. Because I think in something like this, it's good to see exactly what the situation that can lead to the worst thing is it's important to focus on that,
Yeah.
not on the thing that's mundane, because it's a comedy show. You want to see people suffer at the end of the day. So go with the options that will lead to most. Ball Boy delivers it.
That's fair. I agree.
Mm-hmm. At the same time, I just want to say that there's this like sweet and tender moment in the hospital where both of them are like, "Yeah, I love being your brother," and then suddenly Bobo is the doctor, and it's like, no, I prefer to stay injured. Run.
And then we have that sweet and tender moment where everyone learns their lesson, and we go into episode 5 and we're relearning the same lesson again.
Yeah, so you see, again, this is if I had to choose, I'd say I like episode 5, Sweet Temptation. I like this episode more than episode 4, but you are right in the sense that, again, like I said, this is the kind of show that, the status quo is God, everything comes back to normal and everything. Well, enough. But this is literally, again, the same bones are in the core of each. Like, it's the same heart beating. It's the same core idea that Cuphead is reckless and Mugman is more calculated. So, and again, it's a good contrast. They have a good chemistry with each other, and the voice actors also are obviously having fun recording these lines. I'm not sure if they recorded at the same time, but they have good chemistry with each other. But then we have this episode where it's basically the same conflict as the previous one. Not the same conflict, but again,
it's similar enough. Like, again, right? Like, to be clear, we are fine with everything going back to quote unquote normal, right? We're fine with it being the status quo because that's how these types of shows worked back in the day. And that's how this one works. That's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem I have, and I think the same problem you have as well, is that if you're going to go back to the status quo always, the problem that these two characters have with one another needs to feel significantly different enough that it feels like, okay, yeah, I'm watching something new, not the same problem rehashed, not like a quote unquote similar problem rehashed, but with a different skin, right?
You know something? I'm gonna compare it. I'm gonna draw a comparison.
Uh-oh.
Because let's talk about Spongebob Squarepants for a second. I don't think I need to introduce it. SpongeBob, everyone knows who SpongeBob
Never heard of it. Nope.
Oh, you never heard of it? Well, let me tell you about
what? No, that's not a thing that exists. Everyone must hate that.
Are you done with that joke? It's not funny.
I know.
Okay.
I try.
So, but basically, let's look at SpongeBob. And for the record, I know that some episodes use this horribly, right? But hear me out here. The thing with so you have SpongeBob, who's like this naive, optimistic yes man who just wants to be happy and and laugh all the time. He's the embodiment of optimism.
Yeah.
Now, and sometimes you can throw in Patrick too, he's like SpongeBob only done. Fine. And on the other end of the spectrum, you have Squidward, who's the grumpy, life is shit, so I'm gonna be shit as well,
you have SpongeBob, your eternal optimist, and Squidward, your eternal pessimist.
Exactly. And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of SpongeBob episodes can lean on the fact that SpongeBob is the embodiment of optimism. Squidward is the embodiment of pessimism. Again, the same thing in the core of each episode that tackles this dynamic, but at the same time, the situations they are put in are different for the most part.
Yeah, they feel different as well. Like, yeah, at the core, it's still like the same problem, quote unquote, but it feels vastly different from each other that you can watch one and go straight into another one that's very similar, and it's still, again, you have that feeling of this is very different. They achieve that
Yeah.
feeling, and that's a thing that you have to nail. And
Actually,
unfortunately, I
if
don't
I
think
may,
Cuphead nails it well enough.
and if I may explain this for just a bit, to so from the good era of SpongeBob, okay? Because I know some episodes, because I know there are some episodes from like the bad era that is seemingly over. Like SpongeBob is good again, from what I've heard and seen. But supposedly, so there's an episode in season one where the pizza delivery one, where
Yeah.
they get stuck at delivering a pizza. So SpongeBob being the optimistic, being the optimistic one,
God, I
he's
remember
like,
that show still, and it's been years.
yeah,
Or
well,
that
it's a classic
episode.
episode. Yeah, but SpongeBob is the optimist, so he's like fighting with sweat and
That's
tears and
that
everything
stupid
else
ass
to
song.
get to get that pizza to the customer because Krusty Krab.
Don't no. Bad. Get out of here. You're
Yeah,
fired.
I did it just to despite, and Squidward is the pessimist. He just doesn't care. He
Yeah.
just wants this over with. He wants to go home. He doesn't care about the customer. Now, they're kind of the same. I don't remember the name of the episode, but there's an episode where like the SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward like get lost in like a kind of a kelp forest, and with the magic conch shell.
Oh, that one too.
Yeah, so again, here SpongeBob and Patrick are kind of representing the optimism, which is we have this shell. Once we listen to it, the shell will tell us what to do and how to get out of this predicament. While Squidward, the pessimist, is just trying to get out of here and fails all the time to the point he tries his best to get into this cup so that he could eat and survive. So again, the same dynamic, but you notice how in those two episodes, the personalities kind of cause them to act differently.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm talking about. This is my problem with Cuphead, kind of using the same, because it's not only the same basis, but the characters are doing exactly the same. Cuphead's what's its face? Cuphead's impulse will always be the thing that leads to Mugman's, overprotectiveness will always be the thing that's right to do, but they won't do it because we need a plot to happen. And again, it works in some episodes. It even works a lot in this season and the previous one. But when it's the exact same thing in the core of each one, at some point it's like, God, just okay, I get it. Can we do something else now?
No, that's fair. Again, and I think it's also a testament, right? When we're talking about those SpongeBob episodes, the second you mention even one thing from them, everyone who's seen them instantly remembers them. You don't forget them; they stick with you.
Yeah,
At least certain parts of them do.
It just happens in this exact moment. We're like, oh, I remember this. Oh,
Yeah.
I remember this.
I do.
And
and it's been years.
Those episodes, yeah, like SpongeBob is a show that's over 20 years old.
God, I feel old again.
Yeah, and actually, something? The newer of those two episodes, I think, is now 20 years old. Like this is an old show.
Mm-hmm.
But like you saw that, like the second I just mentioned one thing from them, you instantly know everything I'm talking about. You instantly remember something about it. And with Cuphead, as much as I enjoy it, as much as I love it, I forgot something that I saw 3 days ago max.
No, that's fair. Like I would agree. Like season 2 definitely, it's not achieved that thing that it needs quite yet. I think season 1 had a little bit of it, but it's still there's not a lot I remember from season 1. There's some stuff, but not a ton.
Yeah, because let's say season 1, when we did that, we didn't get to it as quickly as we did with this one. Like we took more time. But when we came to do that episode, I remembered every episode. Here, we did it earlier, and I honestly forgot a lot about it. Whoops.
No, but that's fair though. Like again, not every season can be spectacular or amazing, but hopefully they take that and learn from it, right? And again, I think the biggest flaw of the season is that the problem, like one of the underlying problems throughout the season that's supposed to be there, doesn't feel, as we've mentioned and given examples for, unique enough per episode for it to really stick and for it to really feel different and unique. It feels too samey, and I think because of that, the season starts to wear down on you quicker, and you get tired of it more easily.
Now, actually, coming back to doing this episode by episode, because
episode 5, Sweet Temptation.
Now, even though I enjoy that we can do this, I enjoy we can actually talk about why something.
No, that's great. I love that. Those were great examples. Sometimes here at the Outcast and Berkcast, we do things really well.
Like talking about why 9 Realms is shit. But anyway, episode 5, Sweet Temptation.
It's fine.
So on this, I have to say I really liked this episode. However, tell me if the same, if you really liked it as well, because there's a point I want to bring up.
It's not my least favorite episode, but I don't think it's my favorite. It's definitely like, this one was slightly above middle of the road for me, I would say.
Well, it's not my favorite too, but I'd say it's one of the high points of the season.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. I think I disagree.
And I think that's why I want to ask, because I think a big part in why this episode worked for me is because the character, the Baroness, is one of those bosses from the game that I outright despise and I want to murder. so maybe
that plays a difference, because if you have
so that's the thing.
Game,
I think that, and that's exactly an interesting point, that because I watched it with a good friend of mine. I watched it with Jaya, who may or may not be in this episode. We'll see. But the thing is that we both played the game and we both came to agreement. Fuck the Baroness. Like that boss. Fair. Like that boss can just literally, like, I hate that boss. But it was so satisfying to land that winning hit, right? And in a sense, a lot of the way the Baroness was represented as a villain here, I really enjoyed. I enjoyed seeing her Candy Kingdom. I enjoyed seeing her, animated like this, and actually having a voice, and I don't even care that she has an accent. The accent was actually pretty cool, and the way something I actually find out, the voice actress, this is her first time doing any voice acting. She's more usually a storyboard artist. So what the hell, really yeah. So again, there's a lot about this that I really enjoyed, and I think part of the reason I enjoyed it so much is because I have such a connection to that fight from the game, because I remember it. I experienced it. So, and you didn't. So I think it's interesting that, I enjoyed it more because I have that connection, and you were like, good, but not great.
I'll put it like this, right? The first joke we see, I enjoyed fairly much, right? Like seeing Mugman eat his one piece of chocolate candy extremely delicately and savor it, and then seeing Cuphead just devour all of Mugman's candy. I like that. I like the dichotomy there. The problem that sets up the rest of the episode in motion of Mugman, getting mad at Cuphead because Cuphead has no self-control, similar to another problem we've already seen recently, like the episode that just came before this one, but given a bit of a different twist, but not different enough that it makes me like, all right, yeah, this is different, right? Like we've talked about. That one, the setup, didn't enjoy it as much. And then we get into the Candyland area. Very much enjoyed that. Very much enjoyed the Baroness and how she acted and the voice acting behind her. Enjoyed all of that. I thought she was great. I agree.
I just want to say, I love the fact that, she has this, like really sweet, really felt like you can eat everything you want. And then, but then when she mentioned her, she suddenly goes like, "Rule number one," and like rule number two. I enjoy that.
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
again, it's one of those things that like it comes out of nowhere, but it's funny. It works.
I definitely would say she's the highlight of this episode,
Yeah,
not
definitely.
Cuphead and Mugman.
Yeah.
And I don't
Although
think
I will
Cuphead and
say,
Mugman like play off of her well enough for it to really
I'd
tie the
say
episode in.
Cuphead, Cuphead at least starts because he's at the very least seems that he can show some self-control, like when she's first talking to him and try, to get him in there.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually showing that he has some sort of a brain, that he knows when something is an obvious danger. It's like, okay, character development, not that we necessarily need it, but it shows that, this guy is not just, oh, I'm impulsive, so I'm not going to think about anything with you. That's fun for later. But I kind of like that. Yeah, we can see that he also has some wits to himself, and not just oh, Mugman tells me no, so I better go no, just to shut him up and then do something behind his back. So I like that, and I also just again, like you said, Cuphead and Mugman's dichotomy isn't the strong part of this episode, but I think it works well enough to get to the good stuff, to get to the
I'd agree.
Baroness,
I'd agree.
to get to the Candyland, to get to the castle actually chasing them, then turning into the candy, and then Elder Kettle wanting to eat them. That's fun. It's this one thing in this episode. At least it's this thing that I'm like, okay, I may think it's a bit repetitive now, but at the very least, we have, we have other things to look forward to.
I agree. I'd agree with that.
Mhm. So,
Episode
anything
6.
else? Episode 6, The Ice Cream Man.
This is another one of those episodes where there were a few jokes in it that I really liked, but overall, I would say this episode didn't appeal to me as much. Like, it was it was a very episode.
Mhm. Like, I'd say it's funny. It works. There are things that work in it.
Yeah,
I
no, I
just
don't
want to
disagree with
point
that.
out. I just want to point out that that's another thing, when you have this dichotomy between Cuphead and Mugman being so in your face, isn't it kind of weird that Mugman is the one that fakes being sick so we won't have to do arrangement? Because it feels like they kind of switched it around.
I like the difference, and I think next episode shows it better in so much as his like Mugman's obsessiveness and worry and his worry and obsessiveness can come out in like particularly bad ways, and I think episode 7 shows it in a much better way. This episode shows it, but again, I just don't think it works as well as episode 7, the next episode.
Yeah, I'd agree.
But like,
And
overall, like again, I liked the final joke of like it looking like Mugman's about to kill the ice cream man, but in actuality, it's just like you hear that squeaky toy noise as he's trying to beat him up because he's doing nothing to him, and the ice cream man just has no idea what he did wrong.
Mm-hmm. No, like the dynamic between Mugman and the ice cream man, that was funny.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Especially when he keeps interrupting the fantasy and everything. It was fun. I enjoyed it. That was good. No, so not a lot to say about this one, but
yeah, again, like it's not my favorite. This one, it's fine. It's just this is that kind of part of the season where I started to feel a little bit, all right, good, and then it kind of got better closer to the later like in quarter, for me at least.
Yeah.
Again, this as we talked about before, this might be because I binged it. Maybe if I didn't binge it, I wouldn't have had this problem. I can't say. I want to say binging it's fine, but I'm not entirely sure yet.
Yeah. So now we have episode 7, piano lessons.
I like this. At first, The ending of this one kind of made me go, yeah, I don't like this episode. But after a little while, it's like, you know what? Actually, I kind of enjoyed this episode because, again, it's very much, you get to see the interesting role reversal for Cuphead and Mugman to a degree, right? And it's a role reversal in so much as it uses the personalities that have been set up for these two characters in that role reversal, where Mugman's like really, jealous of Cuphead because Cuphead's really talented at piano and he's trying to learn from his piano teacher. And Mugman goes to extreme lengths to get back at Cuphead when Cuphead, throws it in his face a little bit when Mugman tells him to quit because Mugman's jealous. And at the very end of it, right, we have this like other twist that comes up where the piano teacher steals, the music from Cuphead, and the thing Mugman was going to do to Cuphead ends up happening to the piano teacher, so he gets his comeuppance anyways, completely off screen. That little ending, like, it felt kind of out of nowhere a little bit and a little bit too short. Yeah, there should have been more to it.
Yeah, it felt like it got cut somewhere. Okay, I guess we're done. Okay.
But at the same time, I think it was fine, and like the more I sat with it, I think, all right, and actually no, that works really well because I actually liked the focus of I liked the dichotomy between Cuphead and Mugman in this one, and the change up to some degree.
I will say, as far as I'm aware, I don't remember. I don't think so. Ludwig is not a character that's in the game.
Yeah.
So, am I the only the one who thought he was King Candy in disguise?
I mean, I have no clue who that is. So, audience,
wait! I call him King Candy. Oops, my bad. I was thinking of.
Oh, you mean King Dice, right?
King Dice. Yeah. Okay. Why the hell did I confuse the two? Whoops, my bad, people.
I agree with you. There's a lot of similarities there. I can see how you saw that because I saw the same thing as like King Dice maybe, but no, it's just this is a different dude.
Yeah. So it's like it was like King Dice, and I don't think it's when Brady do the voice, but it's like, is it going to be King Dice disguise? What? But I guess it's, we really like this designs.
Fair.
So anyway, moving on to the next episode, which is Release the Demons. So if you ask me, this is the best episode. This is my process.
It's not. I think I like piano lessons a little bit more than this one, but I do agree this is definitely a strong episode. In so much as I love the joke of the, bring me my best demons, destroys them. Bring me my second best demons, destroys them. Bring me my third best demons, wants to destroy them, but doesn't want to see the fourth best demon, so accepts that this is now his best.
Whatever, this is what I have to go with.
Yeah, and I love the henchman saying, actually, that would be your second best demons now. I loved it. It was great. And then just telling King Dice, like, hey, you're up too, buddy. And then just seeing them open the gate and King Dice running to catch up, and they have that orchestral music playing. I loved it. Like, everything about this episode is just beautiful joke-wise.
For one, I just want to say, this should be a quote on, like, if this ever gets a DVD or a Blu-ray release. I want there to be a quote for this show, a review quote that will say, I'm, the devil is a mood.
Fair. I'm sure that won't cause problems.
Yeah, so I just, because, he's such a mood in the sense that, like, there's this, he couldn't get Cuphead soul. Like, this little cup managed to outwit him at every turn. And now apparently there's apparently like a time in which he has to take his soul. Apparently,
the very end where we see that like accountant demon show up and it's like, hey, you ran out of time. it's over, you're done, and you have to give up now. And he's so pissed. He tries to kill the accountant demon, and the accountant demon is wearing the sweater from the first show.
Yeah.
And I love again, like, it's not, I say it's not my favorite, but it's very close, right?
No, like, but again, and another thing I really love about this one is that just all, like you said, the entire joke with the second best demons, he destroys them. The third one's like, whatever, let's do them. And like you said, there's this always like the joke of like seeing the gates like open really slowly, and then seeing them leave with this epic music and everything. And I like the whole sense where, like, the riders where they
Oh,
lose out. It's like, and it's like, oh, okay, we're off the horses. Guess we're getting a day off. Woo!
that was great too. Yeah, this is definitely. You have a couple, like, you have that mid-season lull point where it gets kind of a little meh, and then this one really brings it back up a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like suddenly this episode like suddenly brings it back to what I was, and especially because Cuphead and Mugman don't really know what's going on behind them, and
No,
that King Dice murders all the third best demons. Which, by the way, can someone make a plushie of the eyeball thing that has
the
one big
the
wing and
burp,
one little wing?
the
Yeah,
burp demon.
yeah, please, somebody make a plushie of that. I want that plushie. So again, there's just a lot of good. There's a lot of fun in this, and again, I like that eventually there's something that does scale Cuphead and Mugman, which is the Hell Riders, but it scares King Dice too. He literally freezes in place, and he's not getting better. He's done.
And then, again, like, you see the riders' horses get scared by the horse mask and they run. And then again, like you said, the riders like, hey, day off for us. Cool. We're done. And that's it. That's the end of the episode. And Cuphead and Mugman, like, no idea what's going on there. And then you see, like, then you see the final end of the final point of the episode where the devil goes himself to try and take Cuphead's soul. And that's when we find out he can no longer take his soul.
Yeah, apparently there's an expiration date.
I'm going to be the nerd here and say, did you pause the video to see, like, what the book, because you can read the book that he shows up. Did you pause the video to see if it talked about anything? I did.
I didn't.
I give them credit. They actively went and made an entire accounting page for souls in that book. Like, I give them full credit.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
like, you can actually
awesome.
read that, and it's a whole thing on accounting for souls and how to take souls, and how to return souls, and how, all the costs and blah blah blah. Like, I didn't read the full thing, but I was just curious, so I skimmed it to see if they did or if it was just gibberish nonsense. No, it's actually a thing. Like, full credit to them. Like, clap. I loved that. That was a nice little attention to detail that they didn't need to do, but they did.
That was really nice. I agree.
Just again, like,
yeah,
tying that nice little bow on an already great episode.
Again, just in my opinion, best episode of the season. This was really, putting it there as this is what I loved in season one. Brought to actually keeping that momentum and upping it. This is what I wanted, and yeah, I really enjoyed this one. So moving on, we have Dead. I just want to point out that Chalice is voiced by Grey DeLille. Grey DeLille is a very versatile voice actress, and there's a good chance you've heard her at least once in your life. Like, she's Azula in Avatar: The Last Airbender. She's a Vicky in Fairly Odd Parents. She's done a lot. She's in a lot of stuff. She's Catwoman in a lot of things. So here she voices Chalice, who is a ghost, and as a ghost, Chalice can fly, go invisible, go intangible, and she can also overshadow people. Like she can fly into their bodies and take control of their bodies. Did I mention Grey DeLille was also in Danny Phantom?
I was gonna say. I was getting ready to say somewhere out there, Danny Phantom shouts in the void.
Yeah, so that's the thing that she has all this fun. Then it's like, yeah, she was also in Danny Phantom. She was the voice of Sam. Huh. But yeah, that's just an observation of one who watching Danny Phantom.
Mm-hmm.
So, episode itself was alright.
Yeah, it's not as strong as episode 8, I would say. Like, it's definitely, like, you have that really great high and you come down somewhat, and it's kind of, again, we're back to a little bit of a meh episode. It's fine, nothing wrong with it. It works. There's some great back and forth here, but very meh comparatively. Like, it doesn't stick with as much, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like it's again, there are some like I like the prank that they're trying to, to pull on all the people that like, oh, there's a ghost. We are Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
I
it's
know
all a
that's
big
not what they
scam,
say,
right?
but
Like, they're coming
yeah,
in
I
to,
like that. And then there is the thing that they also kind of get punished for that scam. And the meat of the episode, it's like, okay, fine, whatever. It's okay.
agreed. It's okay.
Yeah. So moving on, we have episode 10. That's all, folks.
I liked like the callback to the old Tom and Jerry somewhat here, and just this episode being full of slapstick with maybe a couple of actual jokes, but mostly slapstick humor instead of anything else. But again, I kind of go back to a little bit meh. It doesn't stick with me as much. I didn't like this one as much.
And that's another thing that I'm just thinking, that you mentioned Tom and Jerry. And I agree that this is definitely like a Tom and Jerry episode. Like, but I think looking back, I know that in some episodes they do, but I think it's also important to know that this is kind of why Tom and Jerry doesn't work well when there's dialogue. Because they kind of try to have this entire plot here of the brothers want to make a surprise for a cattle, and there's this mouse and problems arise from that.
Yeah,
I think, and I'm not expecting them to go like fully muted or something, right? This is not the style of the show, and I did get some laughs from what they said, right? But I think like the potential would have been great if you went full on slapstick. If you went full on because if you want to do Tom and Jerry, do Tom and Jerry. Don't give them voices.
That's fair.
But that said, I did enjoy a lot of it, and especially when eventually that Hello Kettle just finds out that there's a cake and everything that follows after.
No, I loved the thing that I thought was the best about this episode was the back and forth between the mouse and Elder Kettle, right? Like that was really good. Yeah. After Cuphead and Mugman lost and seeing the rat versus Elder Kettle, that part very enjoyable. Everything definitely leading up to that is kind of up or down. Some of it's okay, some of it's good, some of it's very meh. It's just, but that part, good, did great, very much enjoyed. And that's why I think, I would agree with you. I think the show is much better when it sticks mostly to the slapstick, if you're going to do something like this, right? And that's how Tom and Jerry works. Yeah.
Well, moving on to episode 11, we have Say Cheese. Question. Was I the only one who was remembered of the DuckTales episode where Donald just wants a normal family
I
family,
forgot about
family
that.
drama.
Yes.
And then like it just ends with him that his mundane family adventure is taking a picture, and and all of that. I don't, maybe it's just me.
No, I
Yeah.
forgot about it, but yes, you are absolutely right. It's very similar to that, but it's good though, right?
No, it does a different take though. It's
Yeah,
not the
yeah.
same thing. But anyway, so Hello Carol kind of, not kind of, he wants to take a family portrait, and Cuphead and Mugman are fighting over what they're gonna do after taking
Hmm.
that family portrait. Are they gonna go to the amusement park or the movies? Which, by the way, I am like, did they imply that they have movies? Because I think they gonna set up a universe where there aren't. But
I think they do. I think we've seen like a movie theater or something like that before. I don't remember though. It's been a while, but I think they
because
do.
maybe I'm confusing because they have a radio and not a TV. I don't
I
know.
think they
But
do.
anyway, could be. So anyway, there's kind of this fighting, but I look at all is like, okay, first of all, we need to take this picture, and this doesn't work. Taking that picture doesn't work at all until we find out that apparently Hello Kettle was a baby star who did, who was in advertisement for diapers. Gotta say, wasn't expecting commentary about child workers in the industry commentary here, but it worked. It showed the pain he went through, but it kept the comedy up. So
Yeah,
props, I guess. And also, yeah, of course, it leads up to their family portrait eventually being them in prison. But
I loved.
okay,
I think that was the best part of this episode was them all getting arrested and it was them coming to the cops and the cops realizing, wait, there's the two wanted fugitives who escaped from prison earlier, Cuphead and Mugman, and then
yeah,
they see Elder Kettle stabbing the police car and then chasing after him. Oh wait, there's the billboard burner who burned all those billboard pictures of him when he was a baby after him too. It's like,
yeah,
what? Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Like again, this is the kind of
That was the
thing that
best
I
part.
like. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I like. That you don't know what to expect, right? And I didn't expect there to be commentary about using babies to advertise diapers. I didn't expect them to suddenly call back the fact that they remember that the cops remember Cuphead and Muckman escaped from
Yeah, I
prison.
love. Yeah, the callback was
Like
great.
so again, it's one of those. It's simple. It's nothing special on paper, but the execution kind of saves it.
I agree. Very much. I agree.
So moving on with an episode that surprised me with how much I like the twist ending of it, to an episode I kind of really despised from the beginning, and the ending didn't give me anything to chew on.
Yeah.
I think, like, something I'll say right now, this is the worst episode of the entire show. Not just this season, the whole show.
Yeah, I'll agree. I think, I was, again, right? I was going to say episode 7, it really turned me off of it, the ending, and I was thinking, like, that might be my least favorite episode, but the more I sat with it, the more I ended up liking the dichotomy between the two characters, and then this episode comes along, and just everything about it I just dislike. This is another one of those episodes where we come back to that same problem between Cuphead and Mugman, and Cuphead, needing to learn his lesson and just not caring about learning that lesson. And again, we've seen all this before, and yeah, again, we talk about the status quo, that being fine, but they just, again, nothing feels different enough here to make it unique. And then on top of that, it's just not an enjoyable episode. The comedy here just
It's
doesn't work.
like, because this entire episode, and for the sake of it, the entire comedy of this episode relies on the fact that Cuphead is reckless.
Mhm.
Cuphead is, rushing into danger. Cuphead is not
Or doesn't
observant.
think and doesn't care to
Yeah,
worry
it
about
doesn't.
things. Like he's
Yeah,
very laissez-faire,
exactly. hmm
and that's
Yeah,
his problem.
and that's his problem. And the thing is, there's a difference between this being a characteristic and this being the only thing he.
Well,
And
it
this
also,
episode, and it
right.
feels like this episode just standardized it.
Well, that too, that as well as it makes him into too much of a jerk. And, again,
Mhm.
right, Cuphead's not supposed to be this very likable person, right? He's supposed to be a little dislikable. He's not supposed to be the best person in the
He's
world.
again, that's the thing. He's flawed, and it's great that he's flawed.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they kind of seem to play off the idea in the season that he just doesn't care.
Well,
And
what I'm getting
it's
at, though,
not.
is as far as comedy
But,
concerns, like it's, we love to watch these shows because we love to see these characters get hurt and we love to laugh at that. That's what makes it enjoyable for these types of shows. But there
the
is a
show
point where you can take a character getting hurt or a character doing awful things too far where, yeah, this is less funny and more just this guy's an asshole and I don't like it anymore. And I think this is kind of that episode.
And the episode also kind of justifies it because Cuphead doesn't learn
No.
from any of this. It's and the other thing that they again, it's something in the season that they kind of seem to imply that Cuphead doesn't really care about stuff, but I don't know. Like he cares a lot about Mugman in the first season and about Elder Cattle and about other stuff. Like actually, what's the first thing he does in the very first episode of the show? When he gets his pancakes straight on the plate, Mugman misses his. He cuts half of his pancakes and then hands it over to Mugman.
Mm-hmm.
Is this someone who wouldn't care?
Yes, absolutely. According to the show, yes. This is apparently awful.
This is but apparently he's always gonna be an ass. And again,
he should have given him all of his pancakes, I guess.
And again, Cuphead is reckless. Cuphead is flawed, and it's even like this in the game. The reason they Cuphead and Mugman get with even get to the entire point of being the devil's muscle is because Cuphead recklessly gambled away at the casino.
Mm-hmm.
That's I get it. They do. They establish this. I get it. I kind of like him for being that. People who know me know that I like my reckless characters and everything, especially because I can be a bit reckless myself. But like, this is not reckless. This is being an annoying. The annoying orange, and thinking that what you're doing is funny when it isn't. Yeah, I don't know. This is the first thing that came to my mind. I don't know.
Again, right? The character is fine. It's just this episode, as you said, it flanderizes it and it takes it too far because the entire point of this episode is like they're cutting wood for the winter, otherwise they'll freeze to death. And Cuphead doesn't take it seriously and he just destroys all their wood and destroys their axes where they can get no wood or anything, right? Elder Kettle sends them out to get more wood, and again, he continues to destroy stuff, not caring. They get mad at one another. They split up. Cuphead's left out in the cold. He's freezing. He's hurting.
Yeah, which again, them get Cuphead and Mugman, conflicting personalities. We're doing this again. Didn't have enough.
And then again, like we come to Mugman, who's thriving because he did care. He made himself a log cottage in the woods and everything. He's warm. He's got food. Cuphead runs in, steals that from him, and then Mugman decides, I'll get Cuphead back and destroy it. And then he doesn't with Cuphead in it, and then it gets destroyed. They've lost everything, but that's it. Like, Cuphead didn't get hurt or anything from it. He didn't learn anything from it. And then we get to the very end, and Elder Kettle comes in and says, hey, I've done everything. Come on. And that's it.
So again,
show up. Episode over.
And again, Cuphead doesn't learn from being a douche. Like, apparently the danger wasn't even a danger because, when they didn't get that, Elder Kettle just did everything by himself. And I get that he's trying to teach them to be responsible and everything. But if there was no danger for them to begin with, then why did we even go through all of this?
Showing that there's no danger, that there was no danger, that they were right by the house all along is fine as a twist. It's just, it needs to feel like Cuphead learned a lesson. Even if we go back to the status quo, it at least needs to feel like, yeah, the jerk character got his comeuppance at the end in this episode. He didn't.
And he doesn't.
Yeah. and he feels like too much of a jerk. And if you're going to do that, it's fine, but the too much of a jerk character needs to get some kind of comeuppance. And they get a little bit of it here, and then they are rewarded, and then nothing happens to them after the fact. And it just doesn't sit well, and it doesn't work well for comedy, in my opinion, at least. And I think a lot of other people might agree with me.
I agree. I agree with you. Yeah, totally. So
now,
that being said,
if you run this episode into the next episode, right, and you connect the two, maybe you can say that's him getting his comeuppance, but I don't know.
Let's say if this is supposed to be the idea, then the connection really doesn't.
Yeah, I agree. But episode 13, The Devil's Pitchfork.
The Devil's Pitchfork. So I'd say, let's talk about the ending last, okay?
Sure.
Let's talk about that first. First of all, the first thing I want to say again, the devil is a mood. Why did they decide to make the devil a mood? I have no idea, but the devil is a mood.
Someone needs to be, I suppose. I loved him. Like, I'm sad. I don't want to do anything. Oh, there's a review of me. Great. This will cheer me up. Finds out that everyone kind of doesn't care about him anymore. He's a has-been, and he gets upset again, and then he's going out into the world to just make people's lives miserable.
You need to realize that somebody wrote, somebody said it into a microphone, somebody directed the line, "The devil is losing his touch."
It's good.
Yeah, so he decides, okay, you know what? I'm gonna show them I didn't lose my touch. So he goes around just being the devil to people, and he feels great about it.
But he leaves behind his pitchfork, and lo and behold, the one person he hates most finds it: Cuphead and Mugman.
Yeah, well, let's say, that's one person and plus one, but yeah, I get you. But and again, I kind of like it here that, they have this bit in that, that Mugman really wants to do something with the Devil's Pitchfork, and that one thing is eat pasta. Okay, I'll get you that.
Mugman is simple. I like that. I don't blame him.
Yeah, but anyway, suddenly the devil realizes there's no pitchfork.
Meanwhile, Mugman and Cuphead especially have been going on a destruction spree themselves. And they get together and, they have a bit of a back and forth over the pitchfork. Cuphead, I did enjoy the joke of Cuphead, like the devil, like trying to take his pitchfork back, and Cuphead continuously zapping him with it, and then finally Cuphead finally decides, all right, no, fine, here, it's actually yours. I'm sorry, you forgot it, and then zaps him again.
That's the part, because I literally thought that the pitchfork is just doing it in itself. Initially I just thought that the pitchfork is just like maybe, because the devil forgot it and Cuphead took it off.
Cuphead is the new devil now.
Yeah, actually that's what I thought.
Personally, I would have loved that. I thought it would. I think that would have been a great idea.
Yeah, because I thought, maybe this is how they're gonna play into the game's plot, because what's the plot of the game? Cuphead and Mugman have to go and beat all of those people up who owes the devil their soul. So I'm like, wait a minute, what if this is what they're trying to do here? What if this is the idea that, like, suddenly Cuphead is the devil now? And
that would have been great.
Yeah.
But instead, they don't do that.
But instead, apparently, so Cuphead just, writes, Cuphead eventually does, reveal that he's doing it on his own. And as he's doing it so much, he finds out that, he no longer owes the devil his soul. That's done. That's a thing, and it seems like okay. Seems like things are going his way until the devil kidnaps Mugman.
And episode ends, season done. See you next time,
Yeah,
folks.
season. Mhm. I should clarify that there is another season. We
Yeah.
don't know when we're getting it, but because Netflix did confirm that there are going to be 36 episodes as of now, so that means another season is coming.
Mm.
Why would he do this cliffhanger again? I am not sure because I think this cliffhanger is actually worse than the previous one. So, oh well. But
I like the idea. I'm curious to see how they'll continue on with that. It's just it kind of sucks that we have to wait for however long the season will take to make. It yeah.
well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure them making it is necessarily the problem because again, Netflix ordered that 36 episodes from the get-go.
Mhm.
So there's a good chance they were probably in production. Maybe they're very close to being done. I'm not
Possible,
sure.
yeah.
The thing is that now it's kind of at the mercy of Netflix on when they decide to release them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the question.
But I mean, even then, right? Like at the no matter what, the fact that it ends with this kind of cliffhanger is kind of,
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, the first season ended with a cliffhanger too, but at the very least, it didn't feel as much, I guess you would say, as this one does. Because, this is kind of our quote unquote main antagonist, basically stealing Cuphead's, brother.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's
And
where it ends at. Like, that's like straight to credits after that. Done.
yeah. Mm-hmm. I'll say this. I think the reason, don't get me wrong, the Chalice cliffhanger was also kind of like, what the hell are you even doing? But this one has a lot more stakes to it. This one has a lot to, because, obviously they're going to get out of prison, right? Either they're going to break out or something's going to happen. Obviously they weren't going to stay in prison, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here, it has a lot more stakes and it has a lot more questions like, okay, Cuphead has the pitchfork, but the devil took Mugman. What, and Cuphead doesn't necessarily know how to get to the devil. So, because whenever he interacted with the devil, it was always, in his turf. The devil was always on Earth when we saw him. So, how is this going to work? And, maybe, and the other thing I'm kind of thinking of, if we are gonna do this, right? If we are going to set this up as like Cuphead is now the devil, or maybe they are going to work that into the idea into the game that now Cuphead needs to go and collect souls for the devil or something.
Do you think, yeah, I was going to say, like, do you think they might, because there's about, I want to say 11, 12 episodes. If it's 36 episodes in total, there might be like 11 or 12 left. Yeah, somewhere in that area. Do you think they might try and do like, hey, we've been episodic up to this point, and you've seen a bunch of different characters be introduced, and you've had fun with all of them. Do you think they might try and do something that's got more of an arcing plot for the last season of Cuphead trying to get to hell and save his brother? Do you think that might be something they try to do, like in a sort of kind of thing, related to the game's original story, quote unquote, as much of a story as it had?
But honestly, I'd say that's a very good possibility. Like I think it seems to be the direction they're heading because if this is going to be, if the next season is going to be the last, right? Let's say. Because Netflix could very well renew them. I'm not sure how well the show is doing in terms of ratings, but Netflix could renew it for more episodes. Regardless, those things, they did have the 36 episodes from the get-go. The writers have an end game to aim for.
Yeah.
And I think if we left at this moment where the devil has Mugman and Cuphead has the pitchfork, I think they are aiming to like kind of bring it to a close with how it was in the games. I'm not sure if it's necessarily going to switch focus to be slightly more story driven, because for all we know, Cuphead can save Mugman in the first episode of the
Yeah,
next
and then it's
season.
just
For
like
all we know.
10 more episodes of just randomness, which is fine. Would you be interested though if they did something that was
I'm
11 episodes that were more,
I
story driven, quote unquote?
honestly, I'd be down, especially because there are more story stuff you can do with it. It's like, you have Chalice who's a ghost. Maybe Cuphead can use hell to get to get to hell. Maybe now that he need and again it can again lead into the entire idea. Maybe now that he has the pitchfork and he can, he thinks maybe if I'll collect these souls, I'll get to save Bugman.
Well,
There are ways to go about this, but at the same time, if you are going to do this, I need to, let's say I need to collect souls and something. You can make it that in each episode he gets closer to his main goal, but at the same time there's also the randomness that each episode and location
yeah,
and
that's what I was
characters
going to
needs
say.
to
Like
provide.
it's different each episode, but overall he's still getting closer and closer to hell, right? And you bring back like Briny Beard, someone who Mugman made friends with to help out Cuphead try to get Mugman back, right? Or you bring back like the Frog Brothers, and they're not necessarily friends, but they're not necessarily enemies, so maybe there's something going on there. And then you bring back like the Baroness and she's an enemy, stuff like that, right? And you just do that each episode, and each episode has this small thing at the end where, yeah, you show Cuphead getting closer and closer to achieving his overarching goal, and that's our overarching thing for the final season. Yeah, and again, like as I said, are you interested in seeing something like that? And
I'd be down. I'd be
I agree.
totally.
I'm interested. I think that would be a better send off, in my opinion, than just 11 more episodes of randomness. Even if it's 11 great episodes, I'd be interested to see them do something a little bit different. And then, hey, this is the end of Cuphead. Bye bye. We're done. I think that'd be a great little send
For
off.
the record, yeah, like for the record, just because I appreciate the show's episode, doesn't mean I won't appreciate like them going into
Yeah. I mean,
that
again,
direction.
and vice versa, right? If they don't and they just continue to do episodic, so long as it's 11 really good episodes, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Well, anything else? Oh,
Honestly, no.
because I
Like
think
you said, again, there were some great episodes in this season, but they did fail to capture that uniqueness each episode, and they failed to make quite a few of the episodes really stick out and stand out, and something that's going to stand with you, I think, for a long time. I think episode 8 is one of those few episodes in this season that, as we've said, really achieved that thing of, yeah, we're going to remember this episode and the jokes from this episode. But overall, still fun, still enjoyable. If you enjoyed the first season, I think you'll have fun here. Maybe binge it, maybe don't. I'm on the fence about that, but HC says not, so maybe take his word for it. Maybe you'll be better off. Maybe you'll find more enjoyment out of it than I did in some areas.
I think like here's the thing: you can try. That's the people say that Netflix and all those different platforms gonna enforce you to binge watch stuff, and I say no. It's just gonna there for you to experience the way you want it. You want to binge it, binge it. You want to watch it on your own. If you can, watch it each episode at a time.
Listen, that was the best thing. That was like the whole selling point of Netflix and the best thing it brought to us. The fact that they're trying to take that away, streaming services, you need to stop. But anyways. Yeah, like overall, a good season.
Overall, it's a fun season, and if you again, if you like the first season, then you're gonna like this one. I just think it's some stuff, it's not the best. Like season 1, I think is still tighter in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this is it for this episode of the Outcast.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is it for this episode of the Outcast. We hope you enjoyed. What are your thoughts about the Cuphead Show season 2, and what are you looking forward to seeing in season 3, which will come at some point. You can tell us all about it in the comment section below, on our Twitter, which is Berkcast with capital B, capital C, and on our Tumblr, which is Berkcast Team. So until next time, I was HC.
And I was Wolf.
And we will see you all next time. Take care.
Bye-bye.